Good morning. Welcome to week 4, day 1. Week 4, day 1. I would like you to set up your student planners, please.
This week is sponsored by Hot Cheetos and Toffees.
All right. As you can see, we are missing Tamaya. Today I will be aiming to record things so that she can follow along as well as I put things up on Symbaloo. And we're also missing Cameron and Miss Ashley. The Hendersons are getting insulation put in, and that will likely take today and tomorrow. So the next time we'll see Cameron and Miss Ashley here should be on Thursday. Yes, Mason? They went out of town for Labor Day weekend, and they're getting back this evening. So please fill out your student planner like this. Monday, obviously, has already passed. We did not have school yesterday. Please mark that out so you don't accidentally put stuff in that date. Today is Monday, September 4th. I'm sorry, yesterday was Monday, September 4th. Today is Tuesday, September 5th. This is week 4, day 1. When you do your spelling, please mark it as week 4, day 1. When you do your SSR and you record that, please mark it as week 4, day 1. I will tell you about the math thing in just a moment. Now, relating to this being week 4, I need to see spelling from Mason and Aaliyah for last week. I also need to see SSR from Judah, Dalton, Mason, and Aaliyah for last week. So I can look and see what your completion has been on that. Dalton, did you bring your history test from 2 weeks ago? Okay, did you do it?
I lost it.
You lost it? Okay.
I will do it today. I can guarantee that I'll do it today. I'll get it today.
Okay.
I will bring it back.
I will give it to you today, and we'll see what we can accomplish today. If that doesn't get done, then that's going to be a problem. I believe that's what I'm missing. Just looking back at old assignments. Now, the reason that there's an asterisk on math is last week, everyone was supposed to get through 5 assignments. So for my boys who are starting a different book, that meant that by yesterday, you were supposed to be done with lessons 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Last night when I checked, you were only done with lessons 1 and part of 2. You had 5 assignments last week. You need to be doing your assignments every single day. So if you are not all the way up, Elijah, fix your face. If you're not all the way up through lesson 5, those of you who are doing lessons 1 through 5, you need to try to get caught up by the end of this week. You ought to be up through at least lesson 9. That means that if you did not finish anything last night, then you still have lessons 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 to catch up on. Now, if you can only manage 1 lesson a day, then do 1 lesson a day and just try not to get any further behind. So if you are not up to this point in math, then you need to write down where you are right now. So if you haven't finished lesson 2, write down finish lesson 2 and today do lesson 3. The next day do lesson 4. The next day do lesson 5. The next day do lesson 6. We will have a fall break. Our fall break will last for 2 weeks. During that time, Elijah will be in Washington, D.C. for 1 week of that, and the Wittenmeyer kiddos will be with their dad for a few days of that during the second week. Just a minute. So if you are not caught up by fall break, you will have fall break in which to catch up, but don't fall further behind. If you need to do a math lesson a day, then do a math lesson a day. Do not get on video games until you are finished with everything you need to do for the day. Mason. One of the things that my folks want to do is take grandkids to Washington, D.C. the year that they turn 14. It's a good chance to understand a little bit of the nation's history. So math has an asterisk because your assignments may look a little different. The what?
What is that called?
Car light. No, this is not being screamed at. Nobody is being screamed at, and I never did scream at anyone for turning on lights in the car. However, I am serious. If you leave lights on in the car, it kills the battery. If you do not stay caught up on your work, then you are going to fall further and further behind. And number one, it makes it really tough for people who are trying to keep up with what you're supposed to be doing. It's hard for us to keep up with, okay, where are you supposed to be at? Number two, you're going to be probably feeling bad that you're so far behind other people. And number three, you're going to be doing schoolwork over breaks. And if it's extreme, you're still going to be doing math and other work that you're not finished with over summer break. So get caught up, stay caught up, do your work. I am serious about this. Okay, science lessons 11 through 14 this week. We're taking notes on those things. Now, on your notes, I do assign grades on notes. It's not just the grades that you get on your tests. This past week on our science test, we had scores ranging from 62% to 99%. Let's see, there were 3 99% and 1 96%. So half of y'all scored in the 90s. Now, if you get a really good score on your test, that's a wonderful thing. But I'm also looking to see that you are taking notes as we go along. If I had 10 lines of notes on the board and you only had 3 lines of notes in your notebook, then you did not get full credit. You did not follow along. You did not practice your note-taking skills. You must take notes. Now, your notes do not have to look exactly like mine. I'm okay with that. But if you are not getting everything that's important on a certain lesson, then you are not getting full credit. I have one person who on weekly notes, the first week had an 89%, the second week had a 50%, and the third week had a 63%. I'm not saying who it is. If I wanted you to know who it is, then I would use their name. Now, if this person had taken the notes that they were supposed to, they would be averaging an A in science right now, because we had an A on the first test and a B on the second test, and that would be hundreds on science notes. It's really, really easy, guys, to get 100% on your science notes. Follow along. If you don't know what to write, then look at the board. You will see what to write if you have no idea. If you are looking at your notes and you notice that you got less than a check plus, please compare your notes to my notes so you can see, what did I miss? What did I forget? Because if I got less than a check plus 100%, then it means that I missed something that may be important that would be helpful for me to learn. Judah.
Here, I think I got a check plus parentheses.
Uh-huh.
I said or overflow. I did do the overflow method, but I set it up like this.
Feel free to take a look at my notes and see what else you might have not included. So take notes. Follow along. Mechanics, Fix-It Spelling SSR. Take a look back at previous days of Fix-It. I have given y'all little notes on stickies to say what you might have missed, what you didn't include, what you did incorrectly. Fix it. If you forgot to put a comma in, fix it. Put that comma in. No, stop, stop, stop. If you forgot to hyphenate something, hyphenate it. If you forgot to start a new paragraph, put a paragraph symbol there to say, oh, I should have started a new paragraph here. And next time, do a better job on your final draft. Make your final draft a thing of beauty. If you think that you can't write a final draft nicely, then maybe you need to write a rough draft and then copy from a rough draft. But do what you need to make a beautiful final draft. Spelling. I have my suspicions that at least one person, instead of listening to the lesson and writing down the words as they come in the sentence, like wieners. Did we forget the wieners? Wieners. And then going back and listening to the corrections, wieners. W-I-E-N-E-R-S. W-I-E-N-E-R-S. Wieners. Instead of listening to both the lesson and then the corrections, I have a suspicion that at least one person is only listening to how to spell it. That is not acceptable. You must listen to the lesson every single time. If it's boring, I'm sorry. It's there for you to learn the rule and for you to practice it. Do it correctly. Do all your work out in public parts of the house unless you have permission to do your work someplace private. Because you guys need accountability that you are actually doing what you're supposed to do. Another way that people have cheated on spelling in the past, I'm not saying anyone is doing this, but one way that people have cheated on spelling in the past is they get things wrong the first day. They figure out from the first day how things are actually spelled. They do their corrections. And then on subsequent days, they just look back to see ooh, how is it that this is supposed to be spelled right? And they just copy it. That is cheating. That will not teach you. Listen to the lesson, then listen to the corrections. Do it correctly. We are trying to learn, not just get through the assignment so we can be finished with it. SSR. SSR needs to be done every single day in a book that is somewhat challenging for you. If it is a book that I have on my shelves, then you may use it. If it's a book that you've already read, I would like you to read something else. If it is a book that's not on my shelf that you want to read, you must get permission. Anything that's on this list at the back of your binder is an approved book. You can reserve them from the library. When you finish a book, I would like you to jot it down on the last page of your list. There are a few blank spaces there. Write down who the author was, what the name of the book was, and what year you finished it. In this case, since you finished it in 2023, just write that down. That is not something I have explained already, but I would like you, if you've already finished a book that was an SSR book, go ahead and record that. You can remember what book it was from your SSR record sheet. I have 3 hands. Judah. That's fine. Thank you for asking. That was one that I did say when you picked it up that you could count it. Eliana. Dalton. I'm sorry, Mason. Today is Tuesday the 5th. It is week 4, day 1, Tuesday the 5th. Elijah. Okay, thank you for recognizing that. No, pull the paper out of the page protector and use your pen or pencil on the last page to write down who the author was, what the name of the book was, and what year you finished it. No, we're staying on topic. So please be recording your SSR. Those of you who I mentioned that I need to see your SSR record sheet, please turn those in today. Yes, Judah.
Are you supposed to record, like, say on reading Green Glass House that night? Like, am I supposed to record what pages I got through that night?
You don't have to. Each day you need to do SSR. So if you do SSR in the morning for school, and then you record that, then say that night you go, I really want to see what happens next. Go ahead and read as much as you want to. That doesn't count towards the next day. It's a daily thing. The next day, when you read the next amount, just say where you picked up for that day, and it's okay if there are some missing pages. I'll just understand that you read some of it for fun. Mason.
One day I read really late, right?
You read what?
Really late at night.
Uh-huh.
And was at 11:30. If I finished at 12, I'm gonna read the next part.
You need your sleep. Whatever you start on one day counts for that day. We're not trying to do schoolwork in the middle of the night. Okay, so that's mechanics. History, make sure you're taking good notes. Make sure you're following along. People overall did better on their history test this week than they have done in previous weeks. We had scores from 62 to 100% this time. We had 100%, 98, 91, 83, 79, 71, 64, and 62 were our scores, and there were 4 people who bettered their scores from last week. I'm not saying who did what, but it looks like taking notes, having a test that was specifically designed for what we actually covered. It seemed like that did help. Okay, I worked on making the test. I selected the questions for that test. I omitted things that I didn't think we had covered well, and I only included things that I thought we had covered well, things that were on your notes, things that we had reviewed. Use your notes to study. Use your review time to jot more things down in your notes. Mason. I will be glad to go over that with you, but not right this moment. So another thing, on your history test this week, I wrote down 2 different grades. The first grade is the grade that I would have counted if I hadn't had Grace this time. Pick it up. It was the grade if I had indeed deducted points for you not writing with complete sentences. If it says write in complete sentences and you answer to decide what kind of form of government they would have, that is not a complete sentence. A complete sentence has a subject, verb, capital letter, end mark, and makes complete sense. Subject, verb, capital letter, end mark, complete sense. Reread your answers. And if they do not have a subject, verb, capital letter, end mark, complete sense, I may have a little bit of grace on capital letters and periods. Sometimes people make mistakes, but if by golly, next time, the test on Friday that we're going to do, History Chapter 5 test, if you do not have a subject and a verb and make complete sense, the grade that I wrote first, where I said incomplete sentences, that's the grade that will stick. Write with complete sentences. If it says write in paragraph form at least 3 sentences, even if your one sentence is a very good sentence, you are not going to get full credit. You must follow the directions. Judah.
On our test, there was also a section that said short answer. It never said
That was on science. The science one just said short answer, and it meant short answer. Those lines were very, very small on science. But if the instructions, guys, if the instructions say complete sentences, then you must write with complete sentences. Don't skip over reading the instructions. The instructions are there to help you. Do what the instructions say. It's just like with the law of God. People who say, well, I never read the Bible, so I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to steal. That's not an excuse. Men are without an excuse. After all, God has even written his law on their hearts. Men are without excuse. So read the instructions. There is no excuse. So on your history test, you will get it back today. There will be a lower grade if you did not write with complete sentences every place you were supposed to. There will be a higher grade where I had mercy. The higher grade is what I wrote down this time. The lower grade is what next time will be written down in my grade book. Follow the instructions. Spanish, flashcards are written down every day before the quiz. For today, review the flashcards that you've already made. I've been finding people's flashcards not connected to their rings, not hole punched, and falling out of their cubbies. If you do not have a complete set of flashcards, you are going to have a hard time looking at your flashcards and using them to study. You may compare your flashcards to mine. Now, yes, you get 10 flashcards a week. We have finished 3 weeks. You should have 30 flashcards on a ring. If you have lost your ring, I will be glad to give you another one. But you must have 30 flashcards that you can move around and use. Mason. Okay. If you would like to hole punch them in the side and just have 2 holes, you can do that. But you need to have all of your cards together on a ring. Yes. Then you probably did a duplicate of one. Feel free to look and see which one it might be. You are welcome to compare your cards to mine. Now mine are all shuffled up because I've taken them off. I've shuffled them and I've practiced them in a different order so that I can learn the words in different order. But please do your flashcards every single day. Review the old ones. Add the new ones. Practice the old and the new. Work on your flashcards every day. The words that you learn on your flashcards are words that are going to help you to learn the language. These are not use it and forget it words that you don't need to worry about once you finished a week. This is a language. You did not learn the word mommy when you were 8 months old and then forget it when you were 9 months old. You are learning a language. You are building on the new vocabulary. So please, please practice your flashcards. If you don't have all 30 flashcards, write new ones out. You must have them all. Today I'll be writing in our notebook. There will be a fair amount to write in our notebook. Please practice that stuff as well. In IEW, you have assignments every day. Last week, I gave people time because it was a weird week with a sleepover and floors and everything. I gave people time to write their rough drafts on the day that they needed to be editing and doing their final drafts. And I let people be doing their final drafts on the day that we were supposed to be doing their presentations. Not this week. You must be finished with your KWO before you go to bed tonight. You must be done with your rough draft before you go to bed tonight or tomorrow night. You must be finished editing your rough draft and turning it into a final draft before you go to bed on Thursday night. You must be ready for presentations when you come to school and the bell rings at 9 o'clock or 9:15 or whatever time I ring the bell on Friday morning, the 8th. You must be finished with each day's assignment before you go to bed. Does anyone have any questions?
I realized that I didn't have 31 cards, I have 30.
Perfect. Okay, well, I'm glad that you've got them all. That was a very responsible thing to do. Okay, we are going to listen to Romans 12. Yes, I am serious. We are going to listen to Romans 12, and then we will moving into science. Nope. No break right now. Nope. Yep.